We are back, coming at you, not live, but through the power of the World Wide Web. And we're going to continue our discussion on digital trade shows, moving into ROI. And
I'm going to talk a little bit more about building the right personal profile. Super important. And we're going to dive into that a little bit as well.
And I'm going to be frank, you can be Rhianon, but I'm excited about this. The reason we want to be discussing this today, for the most part, is because what's fair? What's a fair price to pay for a digital trade show? It's something that's so new. We've been paying for trade shows or budgeting for trade shows for many years now, but this is a whole new space.
It's a whole new ballgame.
Yeah, you can't just say, well, we're going to charge you the same, because we can clearly see there are a lot of things that you can't do digitally that you can do in person, but there are other things that are, that you're pros, I guess.
Right. There's things that are more beneficial, having everything online, all that big data that you can collect, that you can do online that you necessarily couldn't do in person. So there are definitely some pros. And some people would even say that more people attend the virtual shows because they don't have to travel.
Yeah.
So can you get a bigger audience or a bigger attendee list, that you can reach out to on a virtual show?
Mm-hmm. I think if the show's advertised correctly, sure, you should be able to draw on a larger audience. Many digital platforms or digital shows that we see these days will draw in much more attention than a live concert and stuff like that, or viewership, I guess, at the very least. So we have a big question here: what's a fair cost to pay? And then how do you determine if this is the right cost for this show? Lots of things go into this, but it's going to start with you looking at your previous data for your, in-person shows to calculate your ROI. A lot of people don't do this, unfortunately. A lot of people do as well. So if you have that data, that's great. This is going to help you moving into this, and it's going to help you determine which shows are best for you. For an example, I'm going to use our industry, which is the industrial manufacturing industry. We're in, visual communications and branding, but a lot of that is kind of, just lumped into manufacturing because we actually build the product in-house. Cost per lead on the very, very low end for us is like $33. On the very high end, we're at like $235. So fall in the middle there is usually where we want to be, about $150, $130 or something like that. And obviously you're not paying that a single thing at a time, like, hey, I'm going to get a lead. You're paying one large lump sum, and then you're breaking it all down to make sure that you're not, paying far too much for what's going to happen. You also want to look at how many leads did we generate at the events that we did last year.
Right.
You can grab an average and remember to remove the unqualified or possibly just your networking leads. Like, just because you got someone's business card does not mean they're a lead.
Does not mean they're a qualified lead, for
Yes.
sure. He got their information, okay.
Yeah, so you want to remove all that from the equation and really look, because you're just going to be lying to yourself in the long run and hurt yourself. But look at your qualified leads. So say you do a 3-day show and you pull 55, 60 leads, and 30 of those leads are qualified. So by using the industry standard for ourselves, we would need to only pay no more than like $7,000 to have that be on the high end of our cost per lead where we want to cap out at.
Makes sense.
Anything under that, we should be game to attend that show, after looking at what they're providing, what the schedule looks like.
Who's attending,
yes, stuff like that. Industry standard for conversion rate for all trade shows is only 5 to 15%. So if you say I'm going to generate 30 qualified leads, you can only look to convert 5 to 15% of those at 1 to 4 new clients. $7,000 for 1 to 4 new clients for an industry like ours where we do large projects and things like that, it's not bad at all. But you have to really know all this math for your own company, and then put that stuff all together before you go into this thing, because if you don't, you're gonna end up paying far too much for an event that's not worth it, or just not be prepared enough, or actually capture those leads and then convert them, because
right.
you're not sure what you're supposed to be doing.
And this is a good topic and good discussion because, I mean, the cost for shows virtually has been all over the board.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, since this is very new, we've even seen some in the free range or very, very, very low cost, all the way upwards to, I think you just said maybe $20,000 you've even seen.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
So I mean, that's a wide range there that we're working with. So moving forward, trying to figure out what is that good average, what shows really pertain to us, what shows we're going to get that investment back out of is very important. And it's very important to dive into and to make sure that when we line up those goals, that we're reaching those goals and we're getting that ROI back when we come home.
Yeah, and you need to make sure that so a lot of trade show teams are sales and marketing. You both have to align those. So
right.
you can have two separate goals, but they've still got to align with that overall business goal. Because if you're calculating two separate ROIs, you're just going to be, it ends up bad at the end of the year, and you really can't tell how well or how successful an event was.
Are you saying that sales and marketing really need to work together for trade shows to work?
Yeah, like peanut butter and jelly.
Like peanut butter and jelly. So what are things to consider with, I guess to measure when you're at the show? How many hours we're spending, obviously, how many employees we're taking their time out of something they can be doing and throwing them into the booth. Obviously, we are probably not spending as much time overall with a virtual event as we would an in-person event. So that's something to look at and consider. But also, the interactions with each team member and how they have the interactions, how much time they are spent with each and every prospect as well, and to get those qualified leads. So, anything you need to expand on there? Or
you may need to kind of reevaluate your cost per lead because we are removing a lot of these costs. And so I guess you could reallocate the costs you spend on travel, dinners, all that kind of stuff, and then put that into, hey, we're just going to set this over into, booth space or digital booth space, and I guess compensate that way and make it all right to pay a little higher for a show. But you still want to make sure you're doing all that math first, because if you're just trying to reallocate costs and considering them savings and then, not generating the same amount of leads possibly because we're not sure how many leads we really generate yet. We've done a couple, everyone's done a couple. You can't say, hey, it's going to be the exact same as it was. Your numbers in the end are going to still come out to be a higher cost per lead than you want or you're willing to pay for. You got to have your line.
Absolutely. So overall, let's kind of sum up this ROI. What is your biggest tip, or what do you really want to tell everybody to look for in regards to ROI moving forward with these digital shows?
From a marketing standpoint, if you're the marketer in your organization, really get your funnels and your systems and processes in line with the sales department if they're not fully. That's going to save you tons of headaches because this isn't just a one-time thing. You're going to do multiple of these over the course of a year, and then you're going to need to take all the numbers from all of them, and analyze all that data to come out with a, hey, we were profitable trade show wise, event wise for the year. This will help you make your decisions for the next year if you're deciding to go back to a show, or if you want to look at exhibiting at another show and seeing what those price points really are. Because 2021, I'm hoping that we can get back together because I missed it this year, but it's likely that we may still see some digital trade shows in the beginning of the year, and I don't think this is something that's going to completely just disappear and flip right back. I think it's going to kind of be a mixture for maybe 2021 and 2.
Right. And reevaluating maybe even what shows we attend or go to completely. And maybe we may add a few more to our list that we wouldn't normally do because we have access to the virtual trade shows as well.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit more now that we've talked about the ROI. Personal profiles on digital trade shows and how important they are.
Yes.
And also something that we discussed was who you're sending or who you're having attending these virtual shows may even vary a little bit. compared to who you would send to an in-person show. It takes a little bit of a different skill set. You may have, a list of 5 reps or five people that would attend that show. Maybe for a digital show, you can only send 2 or 3. Sometimes the amount of people going to the shows is a little bit different. We've experienced that with the digital shows. So who you're choosing to participate in these shows from your company or your team may vary a little bit. Something to consider, you need to look at who is really good engaging and expressing themselves through messaging and through, the email. So who's really good at that online content, that online, communication back and forth, but also who's really comfortable at the video conferencing. Because I could be great in person. You and I having a conversation, I'm comfortable with it, I'm happy with it, it's fine. I'm in my comfy zone.
Yep.
But video conferencing as a whole, it's just a completely different area. It's completely different. So you're interacting with people and those facial expressions and everything. Even though you're still seeing somebody face to face, it's a little bit different. It's a unique setting to get used to. So you may really want to evaluate that and choose somebody that is really comfortable and that you've noticed in your company meetings, your Zoom meetings that you have internally. Choose somebody that's really comfortable and thrives in that setting.
Yeah. Well, first impressions, how important are first impressions?
First impressions are everything. Absolutely.
Yeah, there's a saying about it. But, so if you think about it, you're flipping your first impression though. So generally speaking, at a show, your first impression is going to be a face-to-face conversation with somebody.
Right.
And then afterwards, maybe even later, the next day, still at the show or the next week, they might visit your digital space and your digital you and profile and see everything. They're going to be less likely to judge you based on perhaps you have a misspelling or you have a low-lit photo or maybe not a huge list of credentials on your LinkedIn. They're not going to judge you as much because they have their first impression of you. And if they liked you and connected with you, they will look past a lot of those little things. But if that's the first thing they see, they may not really want to talk to you, or they may come into that with a whole different mindset through that conversation and already have, a predetermined visual of who you are based upon your digital profile. That's a really
good way to look at it. And in a way that I didn't think about it prior to. First impressions are everything. And at a show, your personal profile, first and foremost, is your face. It's how you talk to somebody. It's how you engage with them. It's how you connect with them. You don't get that chance necessarily on that digital platform because, yes, they probably have already researched you before they jump onto that virtual meeting. They've already looked at your LinkedIn profile. They've already checked out everything, all your other platforms. So that's a really interesting way to look at it and something to truly consider to make sure that personal profile that you have laid out is good.
Yeah, it's your personal brand too. We've heard other people talk about how important your personal brand is, your voice, your message. You don't have to be a company or an organization to have a message, a brand, and a voice that people will start to associate with you just through online and social media and things like that. So they'll start to build this, ideal image or an image of you, and hopefully it's ideal. But
and through all of this, we've begun to see how important that online profile presence is. So with that, tip number 1, of course, is a selfie is not going to work. We got to have that professional business headshot. So if you don't have one, get one.
Yeah, unless it's your personality. Like if you're that really fun person and it's going to match everything else, like sure, take a selfie on a roller coaster or a Ferris wheel or hanging out with a seal. I don't know. It's something that
showing people who you are.
Yes.
But at the same time, I've seen some professional selfies as well.
Sure,
you know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
You can show your emotion through a professional photo still.
Yeah.
And it may be even more of a lifestyle photo. We've had employees that on their business cards, instead of using the regular headshot, it was more of a lifestyle photo. Still very professionally done, but showed a little bit more of their personality. And it worked really well. Actually, the person I'm talking about got tons of comments on her photo, on her business cards. And it was a talking point. So it was something that you can use to your advantage.
Yeah.
So really think about what your personal message and what your personal picture is going to be, and who do you want that to who do you want to portray? You know, who do you want that to be, and you know, basically what do you want people to see immediately? That personal flair, I guess.
Yeah, you want to be you, but you also want to be professional, because not everybody has the same beliefs and the same opinions. So you don't want to come into a conversation with somebody that already doesn't like you and you have no idea why, and it's because of your photo on LinkedIn.
Right.
And you know, you could say, well, I don't want to talk to them, but this is work. You probably still do. So
So another thing to think about, kind of vice versa, if they haven't looked at your social media profiles and they're just visiting the booth and you kind of have your online business card, make sure you include your links to your personal social media, whether it be LinkedIn or whatever you want to link. Make sure that's an easy access, so they can go right there from your booth at the trade show.
Yeah.
Because they all have those virtual business cards. So make sure you have that linked.
Yeah.
So they're going to reach out to you through social media profiles, and you really want to make sure those social media profiles are set up correctly, are set up in such a way that are engaging, are enticing, tells your personal story along with who you are professionally as well a little bit. We're going to link some resources on this video because we don't have time to go through the step-by-step how to make your LinkedIn profile amazing and perfect, and everyone is different, but we are going to link some have some links for how to set up a really good LinkedIn profile, social media profile.
Yeah, there are lots of people that have gone through it, but these change all the time. Every year they're changing. What's important is changing. Algorithms are changing. All this stuff. So we took some time and we found what we feel is the best and the most user-friendly kind of walkthroughs to just make those improvements on your profile.
Right. Absolutely. So last words of advice: be you. Show your true self. Show your own flair. But also make sure it's professional at the same way. It may be that one stop, that first impression that you don't get at a normal show.
Yeah. That's probably the best advice for the whole thing. So
digital trade shows. Let's go.
Yeah.
2020.
Hopefully not 2021. We'll see. Thanks for watching or listening. We've really enjoyed going over this topic today here with you, and we cannot wait till the next episode. Like always, we love to hear from anybody regarding what your thoughts and opinions are on this kind of content and what you would like to see in the future. So,
don't forget to like, subscribe, do all that fun stuff. Love to hear from you.
Yeah, and we'll see you next time.
See you next time.